Hello guys, welcome to Top Anime Sensei. This video is the continuation video after Power to Control the World. So if you have not watched it, then please watch it. The link is in the description. So without any further delay, let's start. But before we start, please like, subscribe and press the bell icon for more updates. While Hinata was still being limited by her body, Yuki had reached a higher plane of existence. Now, he had overcome the need to breathe at all. He cast out the weaknesses of humanity and greatly elevated his existence. If he were to convert all his energy into magicules, he could rival Leon and Luminous. Yet, Guy was not fazed by this either. How disappointing. Is that all you're capable of? You won't be able to win against me, even if we fought 1,000,000 times over, he said dismissively, nonchalant as always. Perhaps in that case, I'll do my best to entertain you. Yuki's proclamation kicked off the battle anew. A second later, Yuki learned why Guy was regarded as the strongest demon lord. The scene was desperate. Yuki was lying on the ground, physically outmatched. Against Guy's overwhelming strength, none of Yuki's attacks worked. It was no use trying any more tricks, not even his strongest, most polished attack could leave a scratch on Guy. Damn it all. Yuki didn't have the strength to even get up again. The most he could do was curse at Guy. At this point his prevailing resilience was praiseworthy. Laplace's eyes were glued to the battle. He could never forget what he saw unfold. This is just too wild. It ain't boss being too weak. It's Guy being out of this world. Yuki's strength exceeded Laplace's imagination. Making use of his strange power, psychokinesis, Yuki was pulling out all the stops to see what would work on Guy. He was lobbing stones, igniting fires, applying force, and releasing mental interference waves. Yet, all of this was easily countered. Even though he was using ridiculous strength, 30 times stronger than an average human, to launch attacks at speeds over 100 meters per second. His attacks were child's play to Guy. Yuki's primary way of defense, anti-skill, was no exception. It was unable to stop Guy's magic after a few hits. That won't work on me anymore, Guy taunted. It appeared that he had figured out how to counter anti-skill somehow. That was a horrifying fact. Kazalam and Clayman had mentioned the 10 great demon lords in the past. They had emphasized that Guy and Milim were particularly strong. But this vast difference was unfathomable. Had they been aware of it sooner, they would never have agreed to the naive ambition of conquering the world. So this the power of a catastrophe class. Laplace had finally learned his place in the food chain, and that he should avoid those at the top. He had always chosen to hide his true strength from even his closest companions. Yet against a demon lord like Guy, he wouldn't have even made a scratch. Guy was on a whole other plane of existence compared to them. Laplace couldn't even spot an opening for an attack. Even Yuki, who was certainly stronger than him, was lying helplessly on the ground like a baby. With how things had developed, it'd be easier to travel to space than to come out of this alive. Someone has to make a sacrifice. Laplace made up his mind. He put on his usual half-hearted attitude and stepped in front of Guy. Magnificent. Demon Lord Guy-sama. We, the moderate clown troupe, are open to any business requests. Currently, we are already employed by Yuki over there. Since our boss has lost now, we may logically consider our contract terminated. Huh? Laplace, what are you saw? Laplace put on a front of betrayal, pretending to betray his companions, though rather flippantly. He didn't know what Guy's personality was exactly, but heard he was remarkably selfish and arrogant. He seemed completely uninterested in the weak. Unless he recognized you, you are not permitted to speak with him. Laplace approaching Guy with this attitude was flirting with death. But at the same time, it also meant that he had Guy's attention. This could give Yuki just enough time to make his escape. Laplace made his gamble. Never betray your companions and never betray your client. That was the golden rule of the moderate clown troupe. That's why Laplace thought Yuki would for sure be able to pick up on his unspoken plan. Footman was too much of a loose cannon and not the sharpest tool in the shed. But he was also very thoughtful of his companions. Tear was actually stronger than Clayman, yet she was too timid to show her true ability. And even though both of them had the bad habit of getting over their heads sometimes, they worked fine under Yuki. It was because of this that Laplace decided to sacrifice himself. I'm sure I'd be of help to Guy-sama, so what do you say? At least spare me my life. Laplace shamelessly declared in open treachery. Footman and Tear were in utter confusion, while Guy looked on with curiosity, as the edges of his mouth slowly widened into a grin. Great. I just have to keep this up and Guy will surely be pissed off. Laplace didn't plan to dig his own grave either. There was little hope with Guy as your opponent, but he still had a slim chance of saving his life. That's why he wasn't going to hesitate anymore and decided to finish his sentence. But just before he could say it out loud, "Ahaha, don't push yourself like that. Laplace, seriously, am I really that unreliable?" Someone spoke before Laplace. It was Yuki, shakily standing up. Yuki braced himself for his own death. At this moment, his heart filled with unquenchable resentment. He was angry at his own powerlessness. He was even angrier when he heard what Laplace said. Yuki had managed to interpret Laplace's words correctly. Laplace would never betray him. In other words, what he had said was all an act. Even when Yuki was in such a sorry state, Laplace still chose to have faith in him. His mind was swirling with joy, but also guilt. If only I had more power. Realistically, nobody would be there to respond to his desperate thought. Yet at that moment, something spoke inside Yuki's mind. "You want power, you need my help." Yuki was baffled. He thought he might have been hallucinating from the exhaustion, but the voice definitely sounded real. "Just trade places with me. You will obtain the strongest power. Your wish is to conquer the world. Taking my help will make it a cakewalk. Come on, make your decision." The strange voice's proposition irritated Yuki. "Shut up. I am me. It may be different from borrowing the strength of my companions, but I won't stoop so low as to borrow a stranger's power to fulfill my ambition." Yuki was confident in his choice to reject the offer. After all, going after a personal ambition would only be meaningful if it were achieved without outside help. Yuki had his principles too. The voice fell silent, seemingly confused about his unexpected response. Changing gears, Yuki quickly brought his mind back to the situation at hand. Disregarding the voice he could no longer hear. Even though the situation had become desperate, something caught Yuki's attention. He realized that Guy must have had some goal. Indeed, while Guy likely wanted to engage in battle, there must be some other reason. Guy said something along the lines of, "I don't want Rudra to gain more strength." In other words, if he would not go into the Eastern Empire and assist Rudra, Guy wouldn't need to kill Yuki and his companions. At least, that's how Yuki interpreted it. So, then why didn't Guy kill Yuki immediately? Seriously, toe-to-toe, I have no chance against him. My next play is a battle of wits, but instead of Laplace offering to take the fall, this will have a better chance of succeeding. Yuki regained his confidence and stood up once more. Yuki brushed back his bangs and put on a defiant smile. In spite of his circumstances, "I didn't expect you to be so strong, clearly surpassing my calculations," Yuki conceded. "But I've seen through your plan. You weren't going to kill us after all, were you?" "Heh, what makes you think that?" Guy sneered. "If you had planned to do that, you would have obliterated us by now. With each attack, you only ever left me on the brink of death, never finishing me off." "Why?" The confidence in his voice was palpable. He was being incredibly reckless. How could Yuki talk to Guy like that after seeing his immense strength? Nobody could understand Yuki. Nobody except for Guy, who was rather intrigued. "So you noticed, but you don't need to know the answer." Guy's response made it clear that he wouldn't reveal anything else. Yuki shrugged. He had expected this answer, so he began to calmly execute his next plan. "Then I want to make a deal with you." "You want to make a deal?" "Yeah, if you let us go, we can be of help to you." "Be of help to me?" "Indeed. It sounds like you don't want us to join the Eastern Empire, but I hope I could sway your mind otherwise. Keep going. Since our goal is to conquer the world, we will eventually become an enemy of the Empire. I have experienced the extent of your great power just now. Knowing it, I don't want to be your enemy. Because of that, destroying the Empire first would be much easier." Yuki's explanation was just confusing nonsense to everyone else. Footman and Tear were lost. Laplace was confused about the current situation too. He was prepared to die for his plan. Yet his only hope, Yuki himself, threw a wrench into the whole thing. All that was left for him was to hope that Yuki's negotiations went well. Even so, Yuki's rash words made Laplace sweat profusely. "This is way too reckless. The reasoning is absurd. But why does it seem like Guy is enjoying this?" Indeed, as Yuki said this, strangely, Guy cracked a smile. "You still intend on challenging me? That's only natural. My ambition is to conquer the world. After all, right now, I don't seem to stand a chance against you. But one day, I'll eventually surpass you. And that's it." Thank you so much for watching. And if you guys have not watched my other videos, then please watch them. The links are in the description. And don't forget to like, subscribe and press the bell icon so you don't miss the updates.